Good morning. And there's lots happening with respect to this merger. Now, do you think the process of listing through an IPO and then perhaps a subsequent merger could be an option? Or if there is listing through an IPO, we should forget about the merger altogether?
Well, I mean, quite irrespective of the structure. I mean, since the two set of shareholders have decided to merge, so the merger will happen. I mean, and that's something. I mean, both the set of shareholders have, at least in the media, have confirmed that they are very keen to go ahead with the merger. So structure is only one of the means in which this merger will happen. Now, I mean, even if, let's say, they were to re-examine, and that is what, once again, is being talked about, if they re-examine the structure, then, I mean, whether they do the IPO first and then they do the merger is only a matter of detail. Because, I mean, as far as the regulatory approval is concerned, when two insurance companies under the Act, registered under the Act, come to, I mean, with a scheme to merge, then the regulator will examine and he has all the authority to examine that merger. So, I mean, I would certainly believe that, let's say, if that is the route that is taken, that is, the shareholders agree to change the structure, then, of course, it will be a very interesting event. And then, as such, I mean, the whole country, the whole industry is looking at this merger because it's one of those real big ones. So, quite irrespective of the structure, I would believe. Whereas, I mean, if the authority were to decide, let's say, with this structure, then it also opens up a lot of avenues for new kind of structures. I mean, since the AG has kept quiet. So it's going to work both ways, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you, Mr. Parekh. The AG has actually kept quiet. He hasn't said no, he hasn't said yes. Is the IRDA, is it possible the IRDA also looks at it as a fact? After all, why do both banks, I mean RBI and IRDA, insist on this Section 35 kind of rule, that only pure insurance companies should merge? Because there's always a fear that if there's a finance company, the NPAs of that company could get mingled with this. That's why you want pure insurance place, pure banking place to merge. Now, in this case, they're immediately demerging it. That's part of the structure. So, is it possible at all that the IRDA could still take a broad view?
Well, I mean, that's where the whole issue comes up. I mean, basically, the authority can function within the ambit of law. I mean, that is whatever the parliament empowers, the authority has to function within that. So, I mean, if that part is examined, I thought that was the reference. I mean, from whatever I pick up from, from the public information, one is to get into the detail. But if that was the reference made to the AG's office, then I suppose it's a matter of interpretation. I mean, the authority can perhaps, I don't know, I mean, like other regulators can constitute a committee, get the committee examined, make the recommendations to the authority, or the board of the authority can decide, one way or the other. But I do believe that the regulator, because he did not want to step outside of his fold, whatever he is empowered to. So that's the reason I made that reference at all, I thought.
In the first place.
Okay. So what's the next step? Because the matter will now go to the Law Ministry. What do you think happens now? And are you also inferring that this is not the end game, that in some form or fashion HDFC will manage to go through with the merger?
Well, I mean, once again, as I said, from whatever we're picking up from the media, for instance, if, let's say, HDFC do, and then both the shareholders do, work out the structure within, the Rule 35, then perhaps it could work. I mean, then in that case, it's a different matter altogether, and a new scheme will be filed with the authority. But on the other end, if this structure has to continue, I mean, if this structure is to go through, then it's a matter of getting the powers of the authority examined, more than whether the authority will do it or otherwise, I thought.
All right. Well, we'll have to see how the IRDA responds to the AG's no comment. Thank you very much, Mr. Parekh, for joining.